The crystalline dome of the Grand Council Chamber on Centurion Prime glittered like a diamond against the backdrop of twin purple suns. Inside, thousands of delegates from across the galaxy sat in concentric rings, their varied physiologies accommodated by specially designed seats. The air was thick with tension as Ambassador Maya Lin of Earth took her position at the speaker's podium. It was the year 2275, marking 6 decades since humanity had joined the interstellar community. Earth had rapidly ascended from a curious newcomer to a vital contributor, providing revolutionary technologies and resources that had transformed galactic commerce, medicine, and exploration. Yet despite this, humans were still regarded with a mixture of condescension and wariness by the older civilizations. Maya straightened her midnight blue diplomatic uniform, its golden Earth insignia catching the light. At 42, she carried herself with the confidence of someone who had spent her entire career navigating the complex web of galactic politics. Her dark hair was pulled back in a severe bun, emphasizing her sharp, observant eyes that missed nothing. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Lin of Earth," announced High Chancellor Zorvex, his translucent appendages waving lazily from his hovering platform. The Arcturian's voice echoed through the chamber, silencing the murmurs. "Honored representatives of the Galaxy Council," Maya began, her voice carrying through the perfect acoustics of the chamber. "For 60 years, Earth has been a loyal member of this esteemed body. We have shared our quantum computing breakthroughs, provided critical minerals from our asteroid mining operations, and contributed medical innovations that have saved billions across a dozen star systems." She paused, scanning the room. The representatives of the Vorthak Empire sat stone-faced, their gray, ridged foreheads betraying no emotion. The Botanians, with their delicate, almost translucent features, appeared more sympathetic. The mechanoid's optical sensors whirred as they processed her words. "We have upheld every treaty, honored every agreement, and yet—" Maya was interrupted by a chime, indicating that her speaking time was being cut short. Chancellor Zorvex's voice boomed across the chamber. "We appreciate Earth's contributions, Ambassador Lin, but the Council has more pressing matters to address today. Specifically, Resolution 8922. A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing complex charts and resource allocation diagrams. Resolution 8922, continued Zorvex, requires Earth to increase its contribution of vital resources by 80% within the next solar cycle. The Council has unanimously determined that Earth's renewable energy matrices and biological compounds are essential for stabilizing the galactic economy. Maya felt her heart rate accelerate. 80%? Chancellor, that would cripple our infrastructure and endanger our planetary systems. Our scientists have been clear that our current contribution levels are at maximum sustainable capacity. Your scientists' assessments have been reviewed and found overly conservative, replied Zorvex dismissively. Additionally, the emergency medical support currently provided to your lunar colonies will be reassessed if compliance is not met. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Maya maintained her diplomatic composure, but internally, she was seething. The emergency medical support was for a mysterious respiratory condition affecting lunar colonists, a condition many Earth scientists suspected had been engineered by Vorthak Laboratories to create leverage. The Council will vote on Resolution 8922 in 3 standard cycles, announced Zorvex. Earth's concerns have been noted. As the session moved to other matters, Maya's secure communicator vibrated against her wrist. The message was encoded with the highest level of encryption, originating from the interstellar White House on Earth. Operation Severance authorized. Initiate Protocol Omega. Confirmation code Terra Libra 7729. Maya's expression remained neutral as she discreetly acknowledged receipt. Decades of planning had led to this moment. Earth had anticipated this eventuality and had been preparing in secret. The Council's latest demand was merely the final provocation needed to justify what was coming. As the Council session adjourned for a recess, Maya slipped away to her private quarters aboard the Earth diplomatic vessel, docked at Centurion Prime's orbital station. Once inside, she activated the ship's quantum-secure communication system. "This is Ambassador Lin. Authentication code, Prometheus Rising. Initiate Operation Severance." Across thousands of light-years, her command triggered a cascading series of events. Earth vessels throughout the galaxy began systematically disconnecting from central communications hubs. The Liberty Fleet, Earth's most advanced armada of ships, quietly departed from their various stations throughout the solar system, following pre-programmed evacuation routes. Back in the Council chamber, Maya returned for the afternoon session with a newfound sense of calm. She had set in motion what would become the most significant geopolitical shift in modern galactic history. Meanwhile, aboard the Vorthak flagship Dominion, Chancellor Krell of the Vorthak Empire was receiving troubling reports. "Supreme Chancellor, we're detecting unusual movement patterns from Earth vessels across multiple sectors," reported his intelligence officer. Krell's black eyes narrowed. "Specify unusual." "They appear to be withdrawing from their standard patrol routes and trading positions. Several diplomatic shuttles have abruptly departed from regional councils without filing flight plans." Krell stroked the metallic implant protruding from his jaw, a symbol of his military rank. "Contact our informants within Earth's military. I want to know what they're planning." "Sir, that's another anomaly. Our intelligence networks within Earth systems have gone silent. All our operatives have missed their scheduled check-ins simultaneously." Krell slammed his fist on the obsidian command table. "Deploy the 7th Fleet. Track the Earth vessels. Do not engage, but do not let them out of your sight." The chase had begun. Earth's Liberty Fleet, commanded by Admiral Li Fang, navigated through the treacherous Cygnus Nebula, using the radioactive gas clouds to mask their energy signatures. The pursuing Vorthak vessels, with their superior engines but bulkier frames, struggled to maintain pursuit through the dense cosmic storm. "Radiation levels at 340% of standard tolerance," reported the navigation officer aboard the Earth flagship Defiance. Admiral Li, a veteran of 3 space conflicts, nodded calmly. "Our shields will hold. Maintain course through the particle storm. The Vorthaks won't risk their hulls in this density." As predicted, the Vorthak ships fell back, unwilling to sustain damage to their vessels. Admiral Li allowed herself a small smile. "Send word to Earth. Phase 1 complete. We've bought the time they need." At the Interstellar White House in New Geneva, Earth, President Anwar Patel stood in the Quantum Strategy Room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the positions of Earth forces throughout the galaxy. His dark skin contrasted with his silver hair, the result of a presidency marked by constant crisis management. "Mr. President, Ambassador Lin has confirmed Operation Severance is underway," reported his chief of staff. "The Liberty Fleet has successfully evaded Vorthak pursuit and is en route to the rendezvous points." Patel nodded, his expression grave. "And the quantum curtain?" Dr. Alara Voss, a tall woman with distinctive Batanian features, including slightly iridescent skin and elongated fingers, stepped forward. Though Batanian by birth, she had defected to Earth years ago, bringing with her invaluable knowledge of advanced physics. "The generators are at 87% capacity. Mr. President," she explained, manipulating the holographic display to show a network of satellites orbiting not just Earth, but the entire solar system. "We can activate the curtain within 6 hours. Once deployed, it will create a quantum barrier around the entire Sol system, making it impenetrable to conventional transit methods." "And our citizens off-world?" The extraction teams report 93% of Earth citizens have been evacuated from non-allied territories. The remaining 7% are either in deep cover or in regions where extraction would create diplomatic incidents. President Patel walked to the window, gazing at the rebuilt skyline of New Geneva. Begin the final countdown for the quantum curtain, and prepare a system-wide address. The people deserve to know why their lives are about to change forever. Across the galaxy, the effects of Earth's sudden withdrawal were already being felt. On the mechanoid trading hub of Nexus 9, automated systems began shutting down as Earth-designed maintenance protocols went offline. The station's central processing core, dependent on Earth's quantum algorithms, struggled to compensate, causing cascading failures throughout the commercial sector. In the medical centers of Botania, doctors watched in horror as their diagnostic equipment, integrated with Earth biotechnology, displayed error messages. Emergency backup systems activated, but the advanced treatment modules for the most serious conditions remained inoperable without Earth's continuous data feed. Panic spread across a dozen worlds as rumors multiplied. Earth was preparing for war. Earth had discovered an extinction-level threat. Earth had been secretly developing planet-killer satellites. The galactic information networks, already prone to sensationalism, exploded with conspiracy theories and doomsday predictions. Back on Centurion Prime, Maya Lin stood alone on the observation deck of the Earth diplomatic vessel, watching the swirling gases of the nearby nebula. Her communicator chimed with an incoming transmission from Admiral Lee. "Liberty Fleet has reached safe harbor. Ambassador, all vessels accounted for. We await your final instructions." Maya took a deep breath. "Proceed to Phase 3, Admiral. I'll join you shortly." She turned as her aide entered the deck. "Is the transmission ready?" "Yes, Ambassador. You'll be broadcasting on all standard frequencies across the Council networks. It will reach every member world simultaneously." Maya nodded. "Begin transmission in 3 minutes, and prepare our ship for immediate departure afterward. Things are about to get complicated." Throughout the Council worlds, regular broadcasts were interrupted as Maya's face appeared on screens large and small. Her expression was solemn but determined. "Citizens of the galactic community, I am Maya Lin, Ambassador of Earth to the Galaxy Council. For 60 years, humanity has been part of this interstellar community. We have shared our innovations, our resources, and our goodwill. In return, we have been increasingly treated not as partners, but as a resource to be exploited." In the Council chamber on Centurion Prime, delegates rushed back to their seats as Maya's broadcast played on the central screens. Chancellor Zorvex's appendages twitched in agitation. "Today," Maya continued, "by unanimous decision of Earth's global government, I am announcing our immediate and permanent withdrawal from the Galaxy Council and all associated treaties. Earth will no longer provide technology, resources, or scientific knowledge to Council worlds. The quantum algorithms that power your trading networks, the medical protocols that sustain your healthcare systems, and the energy matrices that fuel your cities will no longer be updated or maintained by Earth technicians." Gasps and shouts erupted throughout the Council chamber. Chancellor Krell of the Vorthak Empire rose to his feet, his face contorted with rage. "This is outrageous. This is a violation of galactic law," he bellowed. On screens across the galaxy, Maya continued unperturbed. "Earth does not take this step lightly. We have endured decades of increasing demands with diminishing respect. Resolution 8922 was merely the final evidence that this relationship has become unsustainable." She paused, her expression softening slightly. "To those civilizations who have treated us with respect and fairness, we offer our sincere regret that circumstances have come to this. Earth remains open to establishing new, equitable relationships on a bilateral basis." Chancellor Zorvex activated the emergency override, cutting Maya's transmission within the Council chamber. "This is an act of economic terrorism," he declared. "I call for an immediate security response." But across the galaxy, Maya's broadcast continued. "For those contemplating retaliatory action, be advised, Earth has implemented defensive measures that make any military aggression futile and potentially catastrophic for the aggressor. We seek only independence, not conflict." Her final words echoed across thousands of worlds. The era of Earth's exploitation ends today. The era of Earth's self-determination begins. As the transmission ended, Maya's diplomatic vessel disengaged from Centurion Prime's docking ring and accelerated away, its quantum drives activating well within the station's safety perimeter. A final, symbolic violation of Council protocols. The Council erupted into chaos. Representatives shouted accusations and demands, while others huddled in whispered consultation with their aides. Chancellor Zorvex struggled to restore order, his translucent form pulsating with stress indicators. Chancellor Krell seized the moment, ascending to the central platform without permission. "The Vorthak Empire will not tolerate this insurgence. I have already dispatched our fleet to the Sol system. This quantum curtain the humans think will protect them is nothing but a bluff. Earth will be brought back into compliance, by force if necessary." The chamber fell silent at this declaration. Military action against a council member, even one attempting to withdraw, was unprecedented. Ambassador Thalos of the Centurion Confederation, a longtime moderate voice, raised his crystalline arm. "Chancellor Krell, I must caution against hasty military action. If Earth has indeed developed quantum barrier technology as rumored, an attack could result in catastrophic casualties." "Rumors and threats," spat Krell. "The humans have always been skilled at deception. Their technology is advanced but not miraculous. My scientists assure me any defensive system can be overcome with sufficient firepower." In the Sol system, President Patel stood in the Quantum Command Center beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching as the final preparations for the quantum curtain neared completion. The massive underground facility hummed with energy as thousands of technicians monitored the complex network of satellites and ground stations that would generate the unprecedented defensive barrier. "Quantum resonance at optimal levels. Mr. President," reported Dr. Voss. "The curtain can be activated on your command." Patel nodded, his eyes fixed on the main display showing the approaching Vorthak fleet. "How many ships?" 217, sir, including 3 dreadnoughts. "Their estimated time of arrival?" "At current velocity, 4 hours and 22 minutes. Patel's expression remained impassive. "Activate the quantum curtain in 3 hours. Let them get close enough to see what they're dealing with, but not close enough to attempt a desperate strike." "Yes, Mr. President." Throughout the solar system, civilians watched the skies with a mixture of fear and determination. For years, they had been told that this day might come, the day when Earth would reclaim its independence from a galactic community that valued it only for what could be extracted. Now, as government broadcasts explained the situation, many felt a surge of pride mixed with apprehension about the uncertain future. In orbit around Mars, the Liberty Fleet had taken defensive positions, ready to engage any forces that might somehow penetrate the quantum curtain. Admiral Lee stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the tactical displays. "Status of evacuation from the outer colonies?" she asked. "Complete, Admiral. All Earth personnel have been withdrawn from the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. The mining operations on Titan have been shut down and sealed." Lee nodded. "And the quantum curtain?" "Preparations at 98%. Admiral, energy signatures indicate it will be the largest quantum field ever generated." "Let's hope it works as designed," Lee murmured. "Because if it doesn't, we're about to face the largest hostile fleet in human history." As the Vorthak fleet approached the outer reaches of the solar system, their sensors detected unusual energy patterns emanating from what appeared to be ordinary communications satellites scattered throughout the system. Aboard the Vorthak flagship Annihilator, Fleet Commander Dravix frowned at the readings. "What are these energy signatures? They don't match any known weapon system." His science officer, a thin Vorthak with numerous cybernetic enhancements, studied the data with concern. "They appear to be generating some form of quantum field. Commander, the patterns suggest reality manipulation? Explain in military terms, not theoretical physics, snapped Dravix. They may be attempting to create a barrier that exists partially outside normal space-time. Sir, if successful, it would be impenetrable to conventional weapons and ships. Dravix sneered. No civilization has successfully deployed such technology at this scale. Continue approach. Prepare long-range disruptors for firing sequence. In the Quantum Command Center on Earth, the countdown reached 0. President Patel gave the final authorization. Activate the quantum curtain. Dr. Voss pressed her palm against the biometric scanner, then spoke the activation phrase. Initiate Protocol Aegis. Authorization. Voss Epsilon Omega. Across the solar system, the network of quantum generators simultaneously activated. A shimmer, barely visible to the naked eye, but blindingly obvious on sensors, began to spread from each generator. The fields expanded rapidly, intersecting and reinforcing each other until they formed a complete sphere encompassing the entire solar system. Aboard the Annihilator, alarms blared as sensors detected the rapidly forming barrier. "Full stop," ordered Commander Dravix. "All ships hold position." The Vorthak fleet ground to a halt, still 1,000,000 kilometers from the edge of the now visible quantum field that surrounded the entire Sol system, like a soap bubble, with a radius just beyond Pluto's orbit. "Analysis!" demanded Dravix. The science officer's voice shook slightly. It's a complete quantum displacement field, sir. My instruments indicate that space within the barrier has been partially shifted out of phase with normal space-time. Any object attempting to pass through would have its atomic structure rearranged. Is there a weakness, a fluctuation point we can target? The field appears uniform across all tested frequencies. Commander, I recommend against any attempt to penetrate it until we understand the technology better. Dravix slammed his fist against his command chair. Launch probes. I want visual confirmation of what happens when something hits that barrier. 3 automated probes accelerated toward the shimmering barrier. As each made contact, there was a brief flash of light, and then nothing. The probes simply ceased to exist, leaving not even debris. A heavy silence fell over the Vorthak bridge. Send word to Chancellor Krell, Dravix finally ordered. The humans have deployed a full-system quantum barrier of unknown technology. Penetration appears impossible with current resources. Awaiting further instructions. Back on Earth, cheers erupted throughout the Quantum Command Center as sensors confirmed the successful deployment of the quantum curtain. President Patel allowed himself a small smile of relief. It worked, breathed Dr. Voss, her eyes wide with wonder as she stared at the readings. The largest quantum field ever created, stable across all parameters. How long can we maintain it? Asked Patel. Indefinitely, with the current power allocation. The fusion reactors are operating well within safe parameters. Patel nodded. And communications? Can we still send and receive transmissions? Yes, Mr. President. The quantum entanglement communication network is unaffected. We can communicate with our allies outside the barrier instantly, though conventional transmissions will experience significant delay and distortion passing through the curtain. Good. Prepare a transmission to the Vorthak fleet. Let them know that any attempt to breach the curtain will result in the complete destruction of their vessels, but that we remain open to diplomatic communication if they wish to establish new relations based on mutual respect. Across the galaxy, the news of Earth's successful isolation spread rapidly. The initial shock gave way to practical concerns as the full implications became clear. Systems dependent on Earth technology began to fail in cascading patterns. Medical facilities scrambled to develop alternatives to Earth-designed treatments. Trading networks struggled to compensate for the sudden absence of Earth's quantum computing backbone. On Batania, the medical crisis deepened as supplies of Earth-originated pharmaceuticals dwindled. Dr. Nalara, the chief medical officer of Central Hospital in the capital city of Lumina, addressed her staff with grim determination. We must return to our ancestral medical practices while developing new synthetic alternatives, she explained. Our ancestors healed without Earth medicine for millennia. We will adapt and overcome. Despite her brave words, the reality was stark. Within weeks, mortality rates for previously treatable conditions had tripled. On the industrial world of Mechanoid Prime, factory systems dependent on Earth's algorithms ground to a halt. Production of essential components for everything from starship engines to medical scanners fell by 60%. The mechanical beings that govern the planet initiated emergency protocols, redirecting resources to reverse engineer the lost technology. In the council chamber on Centurion Prime, emergency sessions continued around the clock. Chancellor Zorvek struggled to maintain authority, as representative after representative demanded solutions to the crises affecting their worlds. The Council's scientific division is working tirelessly to replicate Earth's technologies, Zorvex assured them. In the meantime, emergency resource redistribution will alleviate the worst shortages. Chancellor Krell scoffed openly. Redistribution? While you debate logistics, my empire's military readiness has fallen by 30% due to component shortages. The humans have committed an act of war against all of us, and your response is bureaucracy? Ambassador Thalos of the Centurion Confederation rose. Perhaps instead of threats, we should consider that Earth's grievances may have merit. For decades, we have demanded more and more, while offering less and less in return. Is it any wonder they chose independence? Traitor, hissed Krell. You sound like a human sympathizer. I am a pragmatist, replied Thalos calmly. The quantum curtain proves Earth's technological superiority in at least one crucial area. Rather than futile military posturing, we should be reassessing our approach to interspecies relations. His words resonated with many of the smaller civilizations, who had themselves often felt marginalized by the dominant powers in the Council. Meanwhile, within the quantum barrier, Earth began the process of reorganization. Without the constant drain of resources to meet Council demands, new infrastructure projects were launched. The lunar colonies received upgraded life support systems, eliminating their dependence on the mysterious medical support the Council had used as leverage. Admiral Lee, now promoted to Chief of Defensive Operations, oversaw the continued strengthening of Earth's military capabilities. We've bought ourselves time and security, she told her officers, but we must use it wisely. The galaxy will not remain in disarray forever. 3 months after the activation of the quantum curtain, the first cracks in the Council's unity became evident. The Zarian Collective, a civilization of energy beings from the galactic core, announced their withdrawal from the Council, citing irreconcilable philosophical differences regarding autonomy and mutual respect. Within weeks, 2 more civilizations, the Centurion Confederation and the Solari Republic, followed suit. Neither explicitly aligned with Earth, but both established independent diplomatic channels through the Quantum Entanglement Network. Chancellor Krell, faced with growing unrest within the Vorthak Empire as resource shortages intensified, launched a desperate gambit. Assembling the largest fleet in Vorthak history, over 500 vessels, including their experimental planet cracker weapon, he personally led the armada to the edge of Earth's quantum curtain. Humans, he broadcast on all frequencies. Your rebellion has caused suffering across the galaxy. Thousands die each day without your medicines. Economies collapse without your technologies. This ends now. Lower your quantum barrier and surrender to Council authority, or witness the power of the Vorthak Empire unleashed. Within the barrier, President Patel and his advisors watched the transmission with concern. Can their planet cracker penetrate the curtain? Patel asked Dr. Voss. She studied the sensor readings of the massive weapon. The physics are concerning. It appears to generate a focused gravitational singularity. In theory, such a weapon might distort space-time enough to create a temporary weakness in the curtain. Options? Admiral Lee stepped forward. We have the prototype quantum disruptors. They've never been field tested at this scale, but the simulations are promising. Patel closed his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of the decision. Deploy the disruptors. Target only the planet cracker vessel if possible. I want to avoid unnecessary casualties. Outside the barrier, Chancellor Krell received no response to his ultimatum. Commence firing sequence, he ordered. Full power to the gravitational focus. The massive planet cracker weapon began to glow with unnatural energy as it concentrated enough gravitational force to temporarily warp space-time itself. Smaller Vorthak vessels moved away, creating a clear firing line toward the quantum barrier. Inside the barrier, Earth's defensive systems activated. From concealed positions throughout the solar system, quantum disruptor platforms locked onto the Vorthak flagship. Disruptors charged and ready, reported Admiral Lee. Targeting solutions confirmed. Fire, ordered President Patel. Beams of bluish-white energy lanced out from dozens of platforms, converging on the Vorthak weapon ship just as it released its gravitational blast. The timing couldn't have been more perfect, or more catastrophic. The quantum disruptors struck the planet cracker at the exact moment it generated its singularity. The interaction between the two exotic energy forms created a cascading reaction that no one had anticipated. A blinding flash of light erupted at the point of impact, temporarily overloading all sensor systems. When visibility returned, the planet cracker and 30 nearby Vorthak vessels had vanished completely. In their place was a swirling distortion in space-time, a miniature but stable wormhole. On both sides of the confrontation, there was stunned silence as sensors struggled to analyze the unprecedented phenomenon. Dr. Voss stared at the readings in disbelief. Mr. President, we've inadvertently created a stable wormhole. It appears to connect to somewhere in the Andromeda Galaxy, approximately 2.5 million light-years away. President Patel's expression remained controlled, but his voice betrayed his shock. Are you saying we just sent 31 Vorthak ships to another galaxy? Yes, sir. The transit appears to have been instantaneous. If there were survivors, they're now the first intergalactic travelers in known history. The remaining Vorthak fleet hung motionless in space, their commanders too shocked to act without orders. Their supreme leader had just vanished into an impossible spatial anomaly. After several tense minutes, the Vorthak second-in-command, Sub-Chancellor Vex, opened a channel to Earth. This is an atrocity beyond measure, he stammered, his composure shattered. The Vorthak Empire will never forget this day. President Patel responded personally. We regret the loss of life. Sub-Chancellor, our intention was defensive only. The interaction between our technologies produced an outcome no one could have predicted. Our ships, our Chancellor? Current analysis suggests they have been transported to the Andromeda Galaxy. The wormhole appears stable. With sufficient shielding, return travel might be possible, though we cannot guarantee it. Vex's eyes widened. Andromeda, impossible! Nevertheless, that is where they are. We will share our sensor data as a gesture of goodwill. What happens next is your choice. Sub-Chancellor, continue this futile aggression, or accept that the galaxy has changed and adapt accordingly. The Vorthak fleet began to withdraw, their neat formation dissolving into a disorganized retreat. The humiliation of their defeat and the cosmic scale of their leader's fate would reshape Vorthak politics for generations. 6 months after Operation Severance, the galactic landscape had transformed dramatically. The Council, once the unchallenged center of interstellar politics, had shrunk to half its former size as more civilizations declared independence or formed regional alliances. The quantum curtain remained in place, but Earth had established bilateral relations with a dozen former Council worlds, including the Centurions and Zarians. Trade agreements based on mutual benefit rather than exploitation had begun to restore some of the economic stability lost in the initial separation. On Britannia, with Earth's direct assistance, medical researchers had developed new treatments to replace the lost Earth pharmaceuticals. Though not as effective as the originals, they reduced the crisis to manageable levels. The mechanoids, after initial catastrophic failures, had successfully reverse-engineered many of Earth's algorithms, creating their own versions that, while less efficient, maintained basic functionality of their industrial systems. Ambassador Maya Lin, now elevated to Earth's Secretary of Interstellar Relations, stood in the newly constructed diplomatic center in New Geneva, addressing representatives from 20 non-council worlds. "The path forward is neither isolation nor domination," she explained. "Earth proposes a new type of interstellar community, one based on voluntary cooperation, technological exchange rather than dependency, and absolute respect for sovereignty." The Xerion representative, a swirling column of purple energy contained within a specialized field generator, pulsed with approval. "The old council model created artificial dependencies to maintain control. Your approach offers true partnership." The Centurion Ambassador Thalos nodded. "My people have already seen benefits from our bilateral agreements with Earth. Our medical technologies complement each other, rather than creating dependency." Not all news was positive. The remnants of the Council, still led by Chancellor Zorvex but increasingly dominated by Sub-Chancellor Vex of the Vorthax, had hardened their stance. Travel between Council and non-Council worlds became restricted. Propaganda portrayed Earth as a dangerous rogue state that had disrupted galactic stability for selfish reasons. The truth, as always, lay somewhere in between. Earth's abrupt withdrawal had indeed caused suffering across many worlds. Yet it had also catalyzed a long overdue reassessment of how interstellar relations should function. In the Quantum Command Center beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Patel and his advisors studied the stable wormhole that had unexpectedly become Earth's first connection to another galaxy. "The Andromeda Initiative is ready for approval, Mr. President," reported Admiral Lee. 3 exploration vessels, fully equipped for intergalactic survey, manned by volunteer crews aware of the risks. "And the Vorthax ships, any contact?" Dr. Voss shook her head. "None, sir. Our probes detect evidence of their arrival on the other side, but no active transmissions. They may not have survived the transit, or perhaps their communications technology isn't capable of spanning the dimensional interface." Patel considered the implications. "Approve the initiative, Admiral, but ensure all vessels are equipped with enhanced quantum shielding. I don't want any more accidental displacements." "Yes, Mr. President." As Admiral Lee departed to finalize preparations for humanity's first intentional venture beyond the Milky Way, Patel turned to Dr. Voss. "Your assessment of our current position, Doctor, without political considerations." Voss, her Britannian features thoughtful, considered for a moment. "From a scientific perspective, the past 6 months have been revolutionary. Without council restrictions, our research has accelerated dramatically. The quantum technologies alone represent a leap forward of perhaps 50 years compared to our previous trajectory." "And the cost?" "Significant. We've lost access to exotic materials from a dozen worlds. Cultural exchange has been limited to our new partners. And of course, there's the constant military readiness required to maintain our security." Patel nodded. "A mixed ledger, then?" "As with most significant changes in history, Mr. President. But I believe the trajectory is positive. The galaxy needed this disruption, even if the process has been painful." 1 year after the activation of the quantum curtain, Earth held a system-wide day of reflection. In cities across the planet and throughout the colonies, citizens gathered to commemorate what had become known as Independence Day. In New Geneva, President Patel addressed the largest crowd, standing before a monument that depicted a stylized representation of the quantum curtain embracing the solar system. "1 year ago, we made a choice," he began. A choice to value our sovereignty over convenience. A choice to reject exploitation disguised as cooperation. A choice to believe that humanity's destiny should be determined by humanity alone. The crowd cheered, waving the new flag of the Sol Independent Federation, a golden sun surrounded by its planets on a field of deep blue. That choice came with costs, Patel continued, his voice sobering the crowd. We lost connections to civilizations we had come to know. We caused disruption that led to suffering. We took responsibility for our own protection in a galaxy that is not always peaceful. He paused, looking up at the clear blue sky. But we also gained immeasurably. We rediscovered our ingenuity when forced to solve problems without dependency. We formed new partnerships based on mutual respect rather than obligation. And we demonstrated that even the youngest spacefaring civilization in the galaxy can chart its own course. In orbit above, Maya Lin watched the transmission from the observation deck of the diplomatic vessel, Unity. Beside her stood Ambassador Thalos of the Centurions and the Zarian representative. Your president speaks with wisdom, noted Thalos. The pain of transition gives way to the strength of independence. The Zarian pulsed in agreement, its translator converting the energy fluctuations to speech. We have observed 17 galactic civilizations rise and fall over our existence. Those that thrive are invariably those that maintain their cultural and technological self-determination while engaging in voluntary cooperation. Maya smiled. High praise from the oldest civilization in the quadrant. Not praise, corrected the Zarian. Observation. The future remains unwritten. Your quantum curtain provides security, but isolation leads to stagnation eventually. The challenge will be maintaining your independence while remaining engaged with galactic affairs. A balance we strive for daily, acknowledged Maya. Our new alliances are a step in that direction. On the bridge of the Vorthak command ship, now stationed permanently at the edge of the Sol system, Sub-Chancellor Vex, recently self-promoted to full chancellor, watched Earth's celebrations with bitter resentment. They celebrate while our leader and our finest warriors remain stranded in another galaxy, he snarled to his officers. This humiliation will not stand. Begin Phase 2 of the infiltration protocol. His second-in-command bowed. Yes, Chancellor. The deep cover operatives are already in position on Mars and Europa. They await only your command to begin sabotaging the quantum curtain generators. Not yet, cautioned Vex. We must be patient. The humans will lower their guard eventually. When they do, our revenge will be absolute. What neither Vex nor Earth's leadership realized was that the stable wormhole to Andromeda had become more than just an astronomical curiosity. Strange energy patterns had begun to emanate from the other side, patterns that suggested someone or something was studying the connection. Whether it was the stranded Vorthak ships attempting communication or something native to Andromeda remained unclear. As Earth and its new allies celebrated a year of independence, and the remnants of the Council plotted their response, a new chapter in galactic history was already beginning to unfold, one that would make the current upheaval seem minor by comparison. The galaxy had entered an era of parallel influences, the old Council structure maintaining control over approximately half the known worlds, while Earth and its growing alliance of independent civilizations created a new paradigm of interstellar relations. Between them, dozens of formerly minor powers navigated the new reality, seeking advantage in the shifting political landscape. And beyond the familiar confines of the Milky Way, through a wormhole created by chance in a moment of conflict, unknown eyes watched and waited, the first contact between galaxies bringing with it possibilities and dangers no one had yet imagined. As Dr. Voss had observed, the trajectory seemed positive, but the future remained unwritten. Earth had reclaimed its self-determination, but the true test would be what humanity chose to do with that freedom in the vast, complex, and ever-changing cosmos that stretched before them.